Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing a combined May-June wrap-up because I'm still catching up on videos. I also did not read that many books in May. I didn't read that many novels in May. I kind of went on like a manga binge, so I might make a video later on about all of like the manga and graphic novels that I read in May and June. But for this video, I'm just gonna stick to novels, so here we go. I started the month with A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas, which, as you probably know, because I just keep saying it over and over again, this is definitely going to be my favorite book of the year, like, without a doubt. I cannot imagine anything surpassing this because it was so amazing. And if you want to hear my, like, super in-depth thoughts about it, you can watch the Spines with Wines live show that Cassie, Melissa, and I did. I'll leave a link to it down in the description below, but let me just say, like, this was amazing, and even if you didn't like A Court of Thorns and Roses, there's a really good chance that you'll like this book because it's completely different. Like, a lot of people that didn't like A Court of Thorns and Roses seem to love this one, so it's like, it's not just people like me, but I seriously love this book, like, so much. I obviously gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Then I had a bit of a book hangover because, like, all of the emotions from reading that book just, like, put me in this mindset where I was like, how do I even start something else? So I was like, all right, I'll start reading again with something that I know that I'm going to enjoy because I've been really looking forward to it. So next I picked up Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare because I had read the first 2 books and I really loved them. Like, I particularly loved the second book. So I wanted to find out what was going to happen at the end of this trilogy, and I'm really glad that I did because this was also amazing. But it left me with yet another book hangover. So that was a little bit of a problem. But I really enjoyed this. I thought that the way that Cassandra Clare wrapped up this story was, like, incredible, and it was the only way that it could have been done without, like, killing me. So I'm really glad the direction that the story went in, and it was just so good. I don't want to spoil anything, so just general overview of the series. It takes place it's in the Shadowhunter world, but it's in, like, Victorian London, so it's a little bit different than the Mortal Instruments series, and in my opinion, this is, like, a million times better than the Mortal Instruments. The characters are much more well-developed and fleshed out, and just, like, the way that they're written makes you love them, whereas the Mortal Instruments, I never really felt that with any character in there, so I'm glad that I chose to read this, even though I didn't really like the other ones. So I ended up giving Clockwork Princess 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read this tiny little novella called Kindred Spirits by Rainbow Rowell. This came out for World Book Day, and it's, like, super tiny, super thin. I think it's only, like, 60-something pages, and it was really cute. It's about a girl who is going to wait in line for the new Star Wars movie, and there's always photos of, like, these insane lines that are, like, waiting outside to get into them, so she wanted to just be a part of that because she really loves Star Wars. But when she gets there, there are only, like, 2 other people online, so she ends up talking to them, and just, it's interesting to see, like, about these other characters, and then the lead up to once there's a lot of people that are waiting on the line. And I thought it was really cute, but it was really short, so it wasn't, like, my favorite Rainbow Rowell thing. I thought it was pretty much just okay. I was really expecting to like it more because it had to deal with Star Wars, and I love Star Wars, but anyway, I ended up giving this 3 out of 5 stars. Then came June. The first book that I read in June was an ARC that Penguin sent me. The title of the book is Summer in the Invisible City by Juliana Romano. It's about a girl named Sadie who's really into photography, and she has a very complicated relationship with her father, and it's all about her summer class in photography. Her dad's coming to visit, and he's an artist, and she wants to impress him, and it's about her relationship with her mother and her best friend, and just how things seem to be changing for her, and she's kind of trying to figure out who she is. So it's really like a self-discovery novel. And I really liked this because Sadie is not, like, a typical character that I feel like we read about lately in YA. She's not, like, a super strong heroine. She finds her strength at a certain point, but she definitely is somebody who is easily swayed. Like, her dad obviously has been, like, kind of horrible to her, and she still just wants to impress him so badly, and she's willing to kind of, like, hurt her mom in order to impress her dad, or just, you know, leave out details about what she's doing. And then she also has a best friend who I really liked, who was like super awesome. She kind of starts, she gets invited to hang out with some of the popular people, and she's very like intrigued by that. So she kind of starts skipping out on like Game of Thrones marathons with her best friend because she wants to be involved in this other world and like see what else is out there. So she's just someone that's trying to like get out there and discover and explore and find out kind of where she fits in. So I thought that it was really good. It was really true to New York City because that's where it takes place. I could definitely see this like happening there. And I felt like everything was very realistically portrayed, which was very enjoyable. So it was a cute contemporary. It's not necessarily something that I would reread, but I thought it was good, and I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. Then I reread Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix because I am trying to reread the Harry Potter books before The Cursed Child comes out. I don't know if I'm going to get through the next 2 in July, but I'm certainly going to try. But there's just so many other things that I want to read too, so like life is hard. But obviously I loved this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I was kind of amazed that after all this time, like Order of the Phoenix is the one that I have reread the least of any book in the series because it's so angsty, and it was just always my least favorite book. But I think I enjoyed it more this time, and I have to say, like, I was shocked at how much Umbridge still gets under my skin. Like, anytime that she would do anything, I would just be like, I hate you so much. Like, it was the way that, I don't know, words. The way that J.K. Rowling wrote her and is able to get you to, like, hate her so much. I just find it fascinating. Like, she's just such a horrible, horrible person, and there are so many people that even hate Umbridge more than Voldemort because she just like, oh, she's just the worst. So anyway, I'm glad that I was able to finish reading this one, and I'm looking forward to moving on because I won't have to see Umbridge, and I just hate her, so I'm so glad. Then I read a really, really, really cute contemporary that I super loved, and the name of that one is The Geeks Guide to Unrequited Love by Sarvanez Tosh. This book takes place at New York Comic Con, which is the convention that I have been going to for more years than any other convention. I love New York Comic Con, so to be able to read about a book set in that convention, like, meant a lot to me, and also, like, I think it's really, really cool that the cover photo is actually taken outside the Javits Center, so you might recognize that if you've ever been to BEA. This book was so adorable. It's about a guy named Graham and his best friend Roxy, and they are going to New York Comic Con, and there's an author that they love who's basically the J.D. Salinger of their world. He never makes any kind of appearances or anything, and then at the last minute, he says that he's going to be doing an interview at New York Comic Con on Friday, and there's going to be a very limited amount of tickets. So obviously, like, they were only planning on going for the weekend, but now they need to somehow find Friday tickets to get there, and then they also need to be able to get in the line to get their wristbands to see this author. So there's like a whole lot of obstacles that they have to overcome. For anybody who has ever been to a convention, you know that nothing goes according to plan, and ticket lines and everything are always the worst and just chaos. So it was like so true. There were so many things that they went through that I was just like, yep, definitely been there. It was really, really wonderful. And I mean, the book mentions the upside down Spider-Man kiss on the first page, so immediately I was like, yep, I'm gonna love this. And I did, and I'm really, really happy that I read it, and I really wish that everyone would read it because it was just so phenomenal. And there was one other part with like a Princess Bride reference that I really, really enjoyed, but I don't want to spoil anything, so just definitely, if you are looking for something to read this summer, pick this book up because it is so, so good. And it's also really short. It's really quick to get through. It's only like 250 pages, and the characters are so good. They're so well written, and oh, it's just so good. So definitely, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, obviously, if you can't tell from my raving about it. Then I read another contemporary that I really, really loved, and that was Highly Illogical Behavior by John Corey Whaley. This follows a boy named Solomon who struggles with agoraphobia, and there is a girl named Lisa who is a little bit insane, and she remembers him from middle school because he started being homeschooled after this one incident happened, and she'd always thought about him, and she is planning on going to college to be a psychologist, so she has thought about him here and there, and then she manages to find his mom and decides that she's going to write her college essay about helping Solomon get over his agoraphobia because she needs to write something about her experience with mental illness. So she decides, like, this is perfect. But then Solomon ends up being, like, one of the sweetest, funniest characters ever, which she was not expecting. She was expecting him to be, I guess, completely different because he suffers with mental illness, which obviously that's not the way that people are. Like, everyone just is a normal person. They end up becoming really good friends, and he ends up meeting her boyfriend, and they become friends, and, like, they have this super cute little group together, and I just loved, like, all of them hanging out, and it was just so good. And Solomon's relationship with his parents is amazing. They have such witty banter back and forth. I just really, really, really enjoyed it. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but obviously 3 is a crowd, so there are a lot of, like, dramatic things that do happen. Also, if you like Star Trek at all, there are so many Star Trek references in this book because Solomon loves Star Trek, and he even, like, made his garage look like the holodeck, which is super cool. So if you are looking for something to read, this is another one that I definitely recommend picking up. I think it's such a fantastic book dealing with mental illness. Like, I just loved it. And I obviously gave this one 5 out of 5 stars too, and it's also pretty short. I'm, like, loving this trend of short contemporaries that have come out this year because it makes me feel so accomplished when I can read them very quickly. Then I read The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. This book actually gave 4 out of 5 stars. I love Morgan Matson, and I loved this book so much, but it was very long. I felt like the beginning was a little bit longer than it needed to be. So it's not my favorite of her books, but I did really, really enjoy it. And I understand why there was so much length because Since You've Been Gone is really about, like, friendship, I think. Amy and Rogers is kind of about dealing with, like, loss, but it's also a romance. And then Second Chance Summer I haven't read, but I would imagine that that one is going to be mostly about family. And The Unexpected Everything really covered all 3 of those kinds of relationships. So I feel like that's why it was as long as it was. But there were, like, some things that happened to this book that I was just like, I can see this coming a mile away and I don't want it to happen. And I'm really enjoying it, but I don't want to keep reading because I don't want this thing to happen. It was worth it. And it was really good. And I'm really glad that I did keep reading because it was more of, like, one of those things where I'm like, I can't do this, but also give me more. And I really, really, really love the romantic interest in this book. Clark is, like, amazing, and he's a fantasy writer, and oh, so cute. Like, he's just so cute. So like I said, I gave this 4 to 5 stars. I really liked this one. And I also really liked that there was texting with emojis in it because I felt like that was very, like, accurate to the way that people communicate nowadays. I just really like their friend group, and I thought it was very, very cute, and I'm glad that I got to this one, like, right when it came out. Then lastly, I have The Shadow Hour by Melissa Gray. This is the second book in the Girl at Midnight series. This comes out on July 12th. And it continues Echo's story. I don't want to spoil anything from the first book, so I don't really want to get too much into the synopsis, but it was a really, really good follow-up. Now I'm, like, dying for the third book. I don't know how I'm going to wait till next summer for that one, but it was so, so good, and I just loved it. And if you haven't read The Girl at Midnight, you really, really, really should. I don't know if it will still be up when this video goes up, but it's currently on sale on Amazon for $1.99, so, like, there's no excuse. You should just get it. It's only $2, and then read it on your Kindle and fall in love, and then you'll also want to read this one, like, ASAP. So I also gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. So as you can see, I had, like, a phenomenal reading month, or 2 months really. I forgot to say this, but I also read Heartless, which is, like, the 7th or 8th Pretty Little Liars book. I read that in May also, and that was okay. I gave that one 3 out of 5 stars. Those books are, like, so ridiculous, and so is the TV show, but I still enjoy them, so I keep reading them. But there's not, like, I feel like they're not even the kind of books that you can really go that far into a review with, because it's kind of like the same thing over and over that's just happening, but it's still enjoyable. So anyway, as you can see, I had, like, a fantastic 2 months of reading. I'm really glad that I got, like, some really big books read too that I wanted to. There were at least, at least 3 or 4 books I read that were over 500 pages, which I think is phenomenal. And I'm still on track with my reading goal, which is great, like despite those big books. So I am really, really happy with what I read, and I'm really looking forward to July because I feel like I'm just on this like reading like kick. Like I just read such great books, so now I'm just like, give me all the books. I want to read all the books. So that's where I stand. But let me know some of your favorite things that you read in May and June, and I will see you guys soon with my TBR video. Bye!